Unlock smarter cruising. Why the interior cabin is your secret weapon. And my answer is always the same. Absolutely. Every single time. Because once you understand what cruising really is, how the experience actually unfolds, you start to realize something kind of wild. Interior cabins might be the smartest booking on the entire ship. But first, subscribe is free. Now I get it. Balcony cabins look beautiful in the brochures. Waking up to an endless sea view feels like peak vacation. And for some travelers, that private sunrise moment is the whole point. But here's the truth no one tells you. You're not paying for a room. You're paying for an experience. And that room? It's just one tiny part of it. The minute you step on board, the ship becomes your playground. Your cabin becomes, well, your charger. A place to reset, sleep, shower, change, and get back out there. And if that's the case, if you're not planning to live in your room, then what exactly are you paying hundreds more for? In this video, I'm going to give you 4 reasons why I always book interior cabins, and why I think more cruisers should too. These aren't just budget hacks. These are cruise enhancers, ways to stretch your trip further, feel better on board, and maybe even cruise more often. We'll break down the massive price advantage no one uses properly, why the no windows thing is actually a perk, what people get wrong about time spent in your cabin, and how booking interior has let me cruise more often, for longer, and with zero regrets. Let's start by busting the biggest myth of all. Why does the cruise world treat interior cabins like second class? Let's be honest, there's a stigma around interior cabins. They're seen as the budget bin of cruise accommodations. The bottom-tier choice. The rooms people book only when they can't afford something better. And that idea? It's completely outdated. Cruise marketing plays a huge role in this. Every commercial, every brochure, every YouTube ad, it's balcony after balcony. Sunlight pouring in, couples sipping wine on their private decks. You'd think interior cabins don't even exist. But here's the thing. The cruise lines know most people still book them. And the people who do, a lot of them are seasoned cruisers. Because once you've cruised a few times, you start seeing through the hype. You realize that the majority of your day is spent outside your room, exploring the ship, enjoying excursions, or relaxing in public spaces that are honestly way more impressive than your private balcony anyway. But the stigma persists. People think booking an interior means cheap, tight, or settling. Let's flip that. What if booking an interior cabin meant you were smart with your budget, maximizing your onboard experience, saving hundreds for excursions, dining, or your next cruise entirely that's not settling? That's strategy. And if you've ever judged someone for booking an interior, it might be time to reframe that thinking. Because behind that cabin door is often someone who's sailing more often, doing more on board, and walking off the ship with zero regrets. Cruise cabins aren't about status. They're about fit. And sometimes the most overlooked choice is the one that opens the most doors. Now, let's get into the first reason I always book interiors: the money, and what you can do with it. Let's talk numbers. On most mainstream cruise lines in 2026, Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, Princess, the price gap between an interior cabin and a balcony cabin can range from $400 to $1,200 per person, depending on the itinerary and ship class. That's not pocket change. That's real money. Let's say you're sailing with a partner. On a 7-night cruise, that could be over $2,000 in price difference just to have a balcony. Now pause for a second and ask yourself, what would you do with $2,000 extra during a vacation? That's 2 premium excursions, or a full drink package for 2, or 5 nights of specialty dining, or even an extra cruise, a short 3 or 4-nighter booked with that same budget. See, this isn't about being cheap. It's about being intentional. Interior cabins lower the barrier to entry without lowering the experience. You're on the same ship, eating the same food, watching the same shows, visiting the same ports. You just spent less to do it. And here's the part nobody talks about. That money you saved, it lets you customize your cruise. You can upgrade what actually matters to you. If you're a foodie, go all in on dining. If you love relaxing, invest in a spa pass. If you're adventurous, book that once-in-a-lifetime excursion. A balcony might give you a private view. But interior savings give you choice. And those choices stick with you. They shape how you remember your trip. That cooking class you booked in Tuscany, that snorkeling trip in Cozumel, those become stories, memories you actually talk about when you get home. And all of it was possible because you didn't overspend on a view you barely used. This is where the interior cabin becomes a tool, not a sacrifice. A tool that unlocks more of the cruise, not less. Here's a simple truth most people don't consider when booking a cruise. You are almost never in your cabin. Cruises aren't like hotel vacations, where you sit by the same pool for a week and retreat to your room every afternoon. On a cruise, the ship is the destination. There's always something happening, something to do, something to see. Think about your last cruise, or imagine your first. You're up early for port days. You're grabbing breakfast on the go. You're off the ship exploring for hours. Then you're back on board heading straight to a show, a drink, a trivia game, a hot tub, or a late dinner. By the time you actually get back to your cabin, you're exhausted, and all you want is a shower and some sleep. That's it. People pay thousands of dollars more for balcony or ocean view cabins, and then they're in them for maybe 2 waking hours a day tops. And a good chunk of that is getting ready for dinner. Now, sure, if you genuinely use your room as a retreat, if you love reading on your balcony or waking up to the sound of waves, that's valid. But most people, they think they will, and then they just don't. Interior cabins make sense when you match your room to your reality, not the fantasy version from the brochure. And here's the bonus. When you have an interior room, you're less tempted to hole up in it. You're not paying extra for the view, so you go out and find it. On deck, at sunrise, while walking the ship, it pushes you to explore, to engage. It reminds you that the real value isn't inside the cabin, it's outside of it. Interior rooms aren't just budget-friendly. They're designed for travelers who came to experience everything, not sit behind a sliding glass door. Next up, let's talk about the surprising reason why interior cabins might actually help you sleep better than anything else at sea. Ask anyone who stayed in an interior cabin, and you'll hear it. Almost every time, I slept like a rock. And honestly, it's one of the biggest hidden benefits of booking interior. Because what you lose in natural light, you gain in deep, uninterrupted sleep. Here's why. Interior cabins are pitch black. Like, can't see your hand in front of your face dark. There's no window, no sunrise creeping in, no light from passing ships or ports. Once you turn out the lights, it's game over. And on a cruise, that kind of darkness hits different. You're walking more, eating more, drinking more, socializing more. You're in the sun, in the wind, on excursions. Your body is constantly processing new stimuli, which means when it's time to rest, you want it to count. And in an interior cabin, it does. You wake up genuinely refreshed, not because of some fancy pillow menu, but because your body actually had the environment it needed to rest. No light, no sound, no distractions. For sensitive sleepers, this can be a game changer. If you've ever struggled with sleeping in hotel rooms, or if you travel with someone on a different schedule, an interior cabin gives you full control. Block out the world. Recharge fully. And here's the bonus. No early morning wake-ups from the sunrise blazing into your face. You sleep until you're ready to get up, not because the daylight forces you awake. Even parents say this is one of their favorite things. When traveling with kids, the darkness helps everyone sleep longer. Nap time, easier. Early bedtime actually happens. And if you're worried about not knowing what time it is, bring a small travel clock or set your phone near the bed. Easy fix. Up next, the biggest reason of all, why booking interior doesn't just make one trip better. It lets you cruise more often than you ever thought possible. This is the big one. Yes, interior cabins save money. Yes, they help you sleep better. Yes, you're rarely in your room. But for me, the number one reason I always book interior is simple. It lets me cruise more, like a lot more. Instead of splurging on one balcony cruise a year, I can take 2 interior cruises, sometimes even 3, depending on the deals. That means more destinations, more sea days, more memories, more chances to disconnect, recharge, and explore new parts of the world. And when you spread out your travel like that, the entire pace of your cruise life changes. You're not building everything up for one perfect week. You're flowing with the rhythm of travel. You're booking last-minute getaways because you can. You're saying yes to a 4-night out of Miami just because a deal popped up. You're cruising in off-seasons, exploring different itineraries, stacking loyalty perks. It turns cruising from a once-a-year escape into a lifestyle. And that's not just hype. That's what happens when you shift your budget strategy. A balcony might give you a week of views. An interior can give you a year of cruising. And for those of us who genuinely love being at sea, being on ships, exploring new ports, that's the dream, isn't it? You start recognizing crew members. You learn your preferences. You get better at packing light. You cruise not just to escape, but because it's part of who you are. I've cruised on mega ships, small ships, Caribbean loops, repositioning itineraries, Alaska, Europe, all because I chose not to overspend on the room. Interior cabins are what made it all possible. And if you're someone who wants to cruise more, not just once, but often, this is the move. It's the foundation of a more flexible, more affordable, more adventurous cruise life. Now, let's bring it all together. Would I still book interior, even if I could afford the upgrade? Let's wrap with the final verdict. So, would I still book an interior cabin, even if I could afford the balcony? Yes, and I do on purpose. Because for me, cruising isn't about where I sleep. It's about everything else that happens between those check-in and check-out days. And booking interior gives me more of that. More freedom, more flexibility, more actual cruising. Now listen, I'm not here to hate on balconies. If you love sitting out with a book and a breeze, if having your own private sunrise moment is what makes the cruise for you, do it. Own it. That's the beauty of travel. It's personal. But too often, people feel pressured into booking balcony cabins. Like it's the right thing to do, the upgrade you should make. And then halfway through the trip, they realize they haven't used it. Interior cabins flip that logic. They give you the space to focus on what actually matters to you, whether it's excursions, food, activities, or just getting to cruise more often. Here's what I hope you take from this video. Interior cabins aren't a downgrade. They're a strategy, a mindset, a tool to make cruising more sustainable, more affordable, and more intentional. You don't have to follow the glossy ads or what your friends think is worth it. You just have to know your style of travel and make every choice serve that. So now I'll turn it to you. Have you ever cruised in an interior cabin? Did you love it? Hate it? Would you try it again? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I genuinely want to know. And if this video gave you a new perspective, hit like, subscribe, and check out the next video on screen where we compare the best cruise lines for budget travelers in 2026. So yeah, guys, see you on board.